This isn't just the story of two animation studios.
It's the story of a personal vendetta, two clashing philosophies, and an artistic Cold War that changed the face of animation forever. A war where the real winners were you and me. To understand the scale of this rivalry, we have to go back to 1998, when Hollywood witnessed one of the strangest duels in cinema history. Two films with nearly identical plots about a worker ant trying to save his colony were released just weeks apart. This wasn't a coincidence. It was the first shot fired in a war started by one man. The war between Pixar and DreamWorks. Our story begins at Disney. In the early 90s, a man named Jeffrey Katzenberg was the chairman of Walt Disney Studios. He was the mastermind behind the Disney Renaissance, green-lighting films like The Lion King and Aladdin. But when the CEO of Disney refused to give Katzenberg a promotion he felt he deserved, he stormed out. He didn't stay idle. Along with two other Hollywood titans, Steven Spielberg and David Geffen, he founded DreamWorks. Their primary goal? To beat Disney at its own game. And Disney's greatest weapon at the time was a budding studio called Pixar, which had just stunned the world with Toy Story. Katzenberg knew that to hit Disney, he had to go straight for Pixar. And he had a ruthless idea. While still at Disney, Katzenberg knew about Pixar's pitch for a movie called Bugs, which would later become A Bug's Life. After founding DreamWorks, he fast-tracked their first animated project at a frantic pace, a film called Antz. He wanted to release his movie before Pixar's, and he succeeded. But the difference between these two films revealed the very DNA of the two studios. A Bug's Life was colorful, optimistic, and a classic Pixar story about hope and teamwork. Antz, on the other hand, was darker. Its protagonist was a neurotic ant voiced by Woody Allen, and its story was full of political and existential commentary. Technically, both films pushed the boundaries of computer animation, but philosophically, their paths diverged. Pixar wanted to touch your heart. DreamWorks wanted to mess with your head. The first battle ended in a draw, but it was just the ceasefire before a massive explosion. An explosion named Shrek. Before 2001, the formula for a successful animated movie was clear. A beautiful princess, a charming prince, cute talking animals, and a romantic happily ever after. This was the Disney formula, and Pixar, with its own emotional stories, followed it in a modern way. And then Shrek arrived. Shrek wasn't just a movie, it was a declaration of war. An ugly green ogre was the hero, the princess was a martial artist, and the noble steed was a talkative donkey. Shrek took every Disney cliche and mercilessly made fun of it. It was a revolution.
With Shrek, DreamWorks showed the world that animation could be clever, subversive, and full of pop culture references. They changed the game. If Pixar was the Beatles of animation, impressing everyone with their artistry, DreamWorks became the Rolling Stones, rebellious, loud, and dangerously cool. The next decade was the peak for both studios, but with different strategies. Pixar entered its unmatched golden age, releasing one masterpiece after another, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up. Each film was an original, profound, and deeply emotional work of art. Pixar was chasing Oscars and critical acclaim. On the other side, DreamWorks built its empire on franchises. Shrek got successful sequels, joined by Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, and How to Train Your Dragon. DreamWorks was focused on creating characters that audiences would love and want to see again and again. They were chasing the box office. Neither was wrong. One captured hearts, the other captured wallets. But both raised our expectations for what an animated film could be. In the last decade, however, it seems the roles have started to reverse. Pixar, once the symbol of originality, became heavily reliant on sequels and prequels. And while they still made good films, many felt that the old magic was starting to fade. At the same time, DreamWorks experienced a creative renaissance.
With films like The Bad Guys and especially the masterpiece Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, they took huge visual and narrative risks. They experimented with new animation styles and told more mature stories. It's the question many are asking today. Has DreamWorks, the rebellious upstart, now become more creative and innovative than Pixar? So, in the end, who won the war, Pixar or DreamWorks? The truth is, picking a winner misses the entire point. This rivalry, this artistic Cold War, pushed the whole industry forward. Pixar's legacy was proving to the world that animation wasn't just for kids. They showed that an animated film could be as deep, moving, and artistic as the greatest live-action cinema. They made animation respectable. And DreamWorks' legacy was showing the world that animation didn't have to play by the rules. They proved that animation could be funny, sarcastic, daring, and wildly entertaining. They gave animation an edge. In the end, the real winners were us, the audience who, thanks to this rivalry, got to witness some of the best and most memorable stories in cinema history.